We are going to be talking about Liverpool losing the Merseyside derby in a horrific fashion with no control exhibited in all the three departments: midfield, defense, attack. With Everton just having 24% possession, Sean Dyche taught us how to play against a team that wants to play on the ball and outclass Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool to that extent that they were winning each and every duel on the pitch, physically more astute and more calm on the body. They were more balanced in going forward and they were quick on those transitions. Everton just had two build ups in totality in comparisons to Liverpool's 16. Liverpool had an XG of around 2.2 against Everton's 1.6, which clearly shows that Liverpool had chances in this game, but their front three haven't been firing to that extent in the last so many months. And that's a matter of grave concern for Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp is leaving this team in the worst possible manner. This wasn't the narrative a few weeks ago when we were about to play Atalanta, when we drew to Man United. We all thought that Liverpool were quite in tandem to be achieving the results which were expected from them this season. But before we get into the tactical breakdown of the game, please do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps with the show. So Liverpool in possession would try to pass the ball to Van Dijk, but Calvert-Lewin would be pressing onto him in each and every sequence, leaving Konate alone. And given the shape of Everton, they wanted to put in a mid to low block, which shows how astute they were in the midfield and how aware they were in that defense. So Van Dijk would pass the ball to Konate and he would look to pass it to McAllister. In those sequences, McAllister would resort to reverse passing the ball. He would resort to recycling the ball because Doucouré and Gaia would start pressing onto him. So the only possible outlet for Liverpool would be Konate passing the ball long to Nunez. Again, Nunez lost each and every battle to Tarkovsky. Tarkovsky stuck to Nunez like a glue to a piece of paper. He never really got rid of Tarkovsky to that extent that Nunez was fed up and lacked confidence in that box against the likes of Branthwaite and Tarkovsky. Soboslai in most of these sequences would be left idle, lurking around near the box to find that right run. But Konate again would try hitting those passes, but would be overhit to that extent that Pickford would pick them up. And the other possible sequence, which Liverpool were resorting to, was passing the ball to Trent, who would use again those long passes and pass the ball straight to Jones, trying to find him in behind Godfrey or to Diaz. And this worked to a certain extent where Jones would get on the ball and he would try passing it inside. Diaz would make that run inside. But again, Pickford was so solid in those sequences. He denied Liverpool any sort of opportunity. Liverpool targeted this side of the flank more often, even though Godfrey had a superb game. He was displacing Curtis Jones, Robertson on so many occasions. This astute nature of the defenders helped them in getting into a transition, right? So, which is why they never really had more than two build ups. At all times, operate on a transition, taking the most out of the mistakes that Liverpool were making in possession. The Godfrey in these situations will look to play a long ball, trying to find Harrison or Calvert Lewin in these spaces. Calvert Lewin did a brilliant job against Van Dijk and Konate in winning those aerial duels. Now, Calvert Lewin would win the ball when it was passed by either Harrison or by Godfrey trying to find him in that space. But often there would be no one, he would be isolated to support him ahead in attack. This is where Doucouré changed the game for Everton. He would be operating as a left midfielder. McNeil would be right behind him. And on a transition, Mikalenko would push up. Idrissa Gueye would push up. James Garner, the most physical and astute defender, the most well read player out of all in the midfield, who intercepted Robertson, Curtis Jones, and ensured that left flank was capitulating to silly billies on so many occasions in the first half, ensured that this solid shape was being formed on a transition, right? So they would try tracking back and they would try forming some sort of a shape. And then we saw early signs of Liverpool conceding so many set pieces. McAllister bringing down Garner, bringing down Idrissa Gueye, and Everton were really good in getting that contact and going to the ground quite often. In fact, Liverpool fouled Everton at least 15, 20 times in the first half alone, right? And all those goals came in from the set piece situation where Everton were totally on top of Liverpool. Calvert Lewin, Doucouré, Tarkovsky, Branthwaite. These were the four people who were used in these set pieces to get the better of Liverpool. The only grave chance which really came for Nunez with a 0.51 XG was when Salah Diaz was literally scrabbling across the pitch, dribbled past the defenders really well, and Soboslai would be in this situation. Diaz gave a touch, Salah with a flick got the better of Branthwaite, and Nunez was in a good situation to find that ball. Yet he capitulated in the situation, had the ball at his feet, and hit right at Pickford. This is one situation which should have been avoided at all costs. He had this much space right here to find this zone and to push the ball in the back of the net, but he failed to do that. It wasn't just Nunez who capitulated in this situation. Nunez and Salah were positioned in this very situation right here, with Diaz lurking around the box. And Everton were literally on a low block, but then they were trying to retrace their steps to the shape that they had formed throughout the game. But in this sequence, McAllister got the better of Everton. He gave in an incisive pass, which landed at Nunez's feet. He flicked it on for Diaz to get the ball, and Diaz failed to convert that opportunity as well, hitting the ball right at Pickford. These were two grave opportunities for Liverpool, and this brings the real question. After watching this game, after giving ample time to these attackers, can these attackers be dependable? Can they be depended on for the rest of the campaign? What about the next season? Nunez has had decent numbers of 18 and 20 GNAs, but the amount of servicing he has received, the amount of chances that Diaz has had, you need at least two attackers to be prolific in a title winning team. When you are involved in a three-legged race, you should at least have two people firing for you at all times in any given state of the game. You had a Sadio Mane and you had a Mohamed Salah doing that for Liverpool at one point in time. And Firmino used to be that number nine, that false nine, who brought in a brilliant caliber to that to each and every game that he played in, right? But for the front three that have been misfiring, given the chances that were developed in this game, it wasn't at a very high frequency. This was a consistent pattern of how Robertson was trying to bombard the box with those crosses. Yet our attackers were either coming late, or you would see our Tarkovsky being astute and he would drive the ball out. Branthwaite in this situation as well was excellent. He was excellent in bodying Nunez, ensuring that he's not able to make that run whenever Liverpool were attacking through the middle, right? So Liverpool's each and every attacking outlet coming in the form of Robertson majorly or McAllister through the center, they were nullified, right? And Mohamed Salah, let's just not even talk about this player. Mohamed Salah was totally nullified by Mikalenko in the first half. Salah would be in these sequences. One thing which I fail to understand about Mohamed Salah is why is he not willing to take that risk of making that run? We haven't really seen Mohamed Salah doing that ever since he's been back from AFCON. Ever since he's sustained that hamstring injury, we have not seen Mohamed Salah acting up and going 1v1. He would rather start recycling the ball, or he would again backtrack and just pass the ball to Trent and try finding another option, which wasn't really working for him. Soboslai in situations, especially for the goal that Everton scored, Soboslai was here, Van Dijk was right here, Calvert Lewin was here, Tarkovsky, Branthwaite, and Tarkovsky. Brilliantly, Tarkovsky was so clever. He pushed Soboslai, who bodied Van Dijk, and they were totally displaced. And Calvert Lewin took a leap of faith and delivered the ball beautifully with that header inside the goal for Everton's second goal of the game. This was the pattern. Everton being very physically astute throughout the game. Liverpool were in shambles, again, dominating possession but not having control in any portion of the pitch. Especially this was one of those. Now, the zones which were the weakest for Liverpool, the right flank, the center, and this area near the half line in the left channel, where Garner and Harrison would displace Liverpool's players and they would get on those transitions, delivering long balls to the likes of Calvert Lewin. Calvert's physicality, aerial domination really helped Everton in finding those chances. And the physical nature of Everton is not spoken enough about. They used their capabilities, their body like capabilities, to their best of interests to win those set pieces in this game, right? Even though Liverpool could not really get on to that attacking rhythm that they would want. But from the 40th minute to the 65th minute of the game, Liverpool had ample chances, multiple opportunities to be converting those goals for themselves, and they failed to do it in each and every occasion. The blame needs to be evenly distributed amongst all these three departments, along with Jurgen Klopp for not taking out Nunez and putting in young Jadon Dans in the second half when Nunez was clearly struggling with confidence. And what was even more baffling to watch was Darwin Nunez would be left bemused whenever he would lose an aerial duel or an individual battle against the likes of Tarkovsky, who was so physically astute and well rounded, and Branthwaite as well. I think Everton's defense had one of the best games possible. This was Everton's best game, given that Sean Dyche played the right tactics, sitting down and just hitting them on transitions and just winning those individual battles. That's all it took for them to put in those tall ass bodies in the opposition's box and bombing them on each and every occasion.